Today, as we continue our series on climate change and on the Laudato platform, I'd like to speak about the Amazon rainforest, which is really a critical piece of our understanding of climate. The Amazon rainforest consists of 390 billion trees. It's interesting that many commentators talk about the way really to kind of control climate change, and the way to stop the greenhouse gas emissions is to plant more trees. And if we plant, billions of trees, they will absorb all of those gases. We won't have any problem, and it is a cheap and a good way, really, to stop climate change, to curb it. Uh, and really, it makes a lot of sense, and a lot of people are sort of moving in that direction. One of the things that's sort of contrary to that is some uh, are thinking of producing energy by cutting down the trees and using that as biomass to create energy. But really, when you look at it, if in the overall picture, trees are critical, and the area of the world that is most critical, because it has the most trees, is of course the Amazon rainforest. However, more than 75% of the Amazon rainforest is losing its resilience, and that is primarily due to development. A lot of that development is for pasture land and for farming, and a lot of the pasture land is really to raise beef, and the whole idea of the beef to kind of supply that market. And people are saying, well, it's bad in many levels. It can be bad for us in terms of health effects. Certainly, consuming too much beef, not good for our cardiovascular systems, right? But the idea of putting this emphasis on the beef really is taking us away from our larger goal, and that is controlling the climate change and giving ourselves a better air quality, water quality, and soil quality. Uh, and so there is this dieback of many of the trees. Uh, a lot of the Amazon rainforest has been converted into savanna in the past 2 decades. So this is a phenomenon that is happening even as we speak, and certainly something that we have to address. Uh, and you have, of course, the battle between those who want to build up the economy by developing this land, and then they will say, well, we're going to create more jobs, more prosperity. This is a better way to go. And then those who are saying, well, why not plant more trees, put people to work that way, develop the economy in a more positive direction, that way where you're not doing damage to the environment. So these false choices are sometimes raised: the economy, the environment, and environmentalists will say, no, you certainly can do both if you take the proper approach. And the importance of the Amazon rainforest is it serves as a carbon sink. And so all of that carbon is taken out of the atmosphere, and particularly the carbon that is in the vegetation that's in the rainforest. You have water evaporating from the leaves, and this endless loop of rainfall, this dense canopy. There's no sunlight, so it really creates a beautiful carbon sink. Hot conditions then are created. The dry season becomes extended. 17% of the trees have been felled. More trees are dying. So what happens as a result of the trees being felled is that you're creating a bad condition for these trees and these rainforests and many species to survive. It's becoming more and more an open savanna. 10% of known species are there. So what you're doing is really two bad things. You're really creating a problem with the climate, but you're also attacking many of the species of life that are there uniquely in the Amazon rainforest. 70% of rain from northern Argentina comes from the Amazonian trees. So If you're going to fell more of these trees, you're going to be losing rainfall, creating more drier conditions, uh, and making it really difficult for the people to survive, even in terms of a basic agricultural sense, because with the trees gone and the rainfall lessened, you're going to have problems of the fertility, obviously. Uh, More carbon then becomes released, 300 million tons in some areas, and those 300 million tons are the annual emissions from the country of Japan. So you can see the scope of this is really huge, and that's why there was such emphasis on preserving the Amazon rainforest and going the opposite direction of planting more trees in the world rather than destroying the trees that we do have. What are some of the consequences? The consequences are then, of course, you have more storms, more wildfires, food shortages, sea level rise, melting of the ice sheets, disruption of the South American monsoon. So all of these negative factors enter into play when you destroy the rainforest. Uh, you don't want to have more storms where people are left homeless and have to, migrate to other areas. You don't want wildfires. Again, that's going to create all sorts of problems for people in terms of living, in terms of producing crops. And of course, inevitably, then it leads to food shortages. You don't want, obviously, more hunger in the world. Sea level rise. Again, those communities that are near the coast are going to be most affected first, but then other communities obviously will be affected. And again, people have to then migrate, live in other areas, all sorts of ways of life, farming and fishing, wiped out because of that sea level rise. The melting of the ice sheets, again, that's going to help and assist with the sea level rise, and the disruption of the South American monsoon, that whole rainfall pattern that the farmers are so dependent upon would be interrupted. So, again, a very critical piece here in the Amazon. Really, two problems are interrelated: the problem of the deforestation of the Amazon basin and climate change. And we have seen that there is a definite link between these two, and we don't want to go in that direction of increasing climate change. Obviously, we want to preserve our climate as much as we can. We want to stop the global warming. We want to capture more carbon instead of releasing more into the atmosphere and causing more damage. So this concept of preserving the Amazon rainforest becomes, again, a very critical, important piece in fighting climate change. And also, another aspect that is extremely important is the culture of the indigenous people who live in the rainforest and have lived there for hundreds of years and have thrived in that atmosphere, wiping out their homes, taking their property away. This is, again, a terrible thing to pursue for those who want to develop the rainforest. Their rationale, of course, is the economy, creating more jobs, but to do it at the expense of the native peoples who have been there forever is certainly a crime and a tragedy. So, again, something for us to think about, reflect on. What can we do? What actions can we take to preserve the Amazon rainforest and therefore to fight against climate change and to help with the improvement in our air quality, our water quality, and our soil quality? Thanks so much, and God bless.